Did you bring Langdon back here?
No, Al Hashimi did. You banished him to scud purgatory. He did everything you would have done with that cellulitis patient. If you think he missed something, tell him.
Hello, all. Welcome back to What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I'm Becky.
And I am Mandy.
Today we are covering HBO Max's hit show, The Pitt, Season 2, Episode 5, titled 11 a.m. Please note this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so if you haven't watched the episode yet and don't want to be spoiled, just come back and check us out after you're finished.
Before we get into this episode 5, we've got some feedback from the Pirate Core YouTube page on our episode 4 coverage. At Linda1541, hey girl, hey, says, great podcast as usual with a little heart emoji. I love your guest, Justin. And another little heart emoji. We did too.
Yeah, that was fun. We had a good time.
He fit right in. He's a gabber.
He is. He's just like us. And via email, EM wrote, oh my word, I love this week's podcast. Justin was great. And she put in parentheses, I was waiting for one of you to tell him that Santos isn't into Whitaker because of the lady love thing. I was cracking up.
Well, to be fair, we don't know what her full spectrum of interest might be.
Right.
But, yeah, I definitely think he's barking up the wrong tree there.
Yeah. And she says, oh, in the spirit of that first feedback you read, which was Nathan's, she says, can I peep in on an interview if you ever interview Aisha, Dr. Fine Ellis Harris? Yes, you can. That's hilarious. She went on to say, I'm sorry to hear more about your mom's medical situation, Becky. My heart breaks. I'll be sending all the healthy, good care vibes I have. Thank you so much, EM. All right, now let's dive into this week's episode. Episode 5 was written by Simran Badwan and directed by Damien Marcano.
I can't even see his name without hearing it exactly that way when I watch the credits. It's like it's a whole different show.
I know. I went back to try to find that clip that we talked about where Mark said it and insert it, but I don't think I saved it. So I know I'll have to get him to record us the Damien Marcano again so I can have it for that.
God, if we ever get to interview Damien so that we can tell him. I wonder if he'd be like, that's hilarious, or if he'd be like, that's hilarious.
I feel like he'd be like, that's hilarious. But after talking with us for about 30 minutes, he'd be like, that's hilarious.
I feel like what he really would be like is, that's hilarious.
Yes. I bet you he'd get us.
Oh, Damien. Okay, the synopsis for this episode. While the team receive an inmate transfer, Ogilvy gets his first exposure, see what they did there, to several workplace hazards, and Robbie attempts to prevent a patient from going septic. Santos continues to struggle with balancing charting and her other duties. McKay and Javati treat a terminal patient and learn she has a surprising tie to the ED. Later, Langdon and Robbie must work together to save someone close to them.
I only have 2 main points and a few chart notes.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a fast episode.
I think so too, but I don't want anybody to think that that is because there was a lack of things going on. I don't know. It's hard to describe this episode. Anyway, let's just dive into it and then we can break it all down. So first main point, starting off with Robbie and Langdon pick up with last episode and her infection's getting a lot worse. But what I really wanted to focus on here is Robbie's horrible attitude towards Langdon. You know, I get that he's still mad and he has every right to be angry, but I think this was the first episode that we really are starting to see that crack in Robbie's armor like we did last season. And I don't know if the sabbatical is him just wanting to get away from Langdon and avoid this situation, because we know he scheduled his leave to be when Langdon came back. So anyway, whatever hangups he's got going on is overflowing into other situations. And it's really kind of starting to piss me off. It's so unprofessional.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. His attitude just in general with a lot of different people over this season is kind of crappy in general. I agree about Langdon too. I don't know though, man. I don't really know how to feel about this situation because it doesn't look like he's wrong that the lady was having the reaction that he thought she was having and Langdon wasn't listening to him.
No, I don't see that at all. Langdon, okay, finish your point and then I'll counterpoint.
But I also think that he is definitely blowing Langdon off and not reacting very maturely to the whole situation. I saw something online this week that someone said something to the extent of they think Robbie blames himself, just like he does with everything, because Robbie kind of takes the world on his shoulders. And that, on one hand, is a very good trait when someone feels a deep responsibility, especially as a doctor, to their patients. But on the other hand, it's a little arrogant. You tend to
Yeah.
think that you are the one in control of everything. When you're responsible for everything, that means that you think that you run everything. And I say that I have that trait. I'm not comparing myself to Robbie, but I have a tendency to feel like I need to be responsible for everyone that I care about in my life. And I have to really work on that. And I think that's Robbie's deal. I think as much as anything else, Robbie is not mad at anybody more than Robbie is mad at Robbie. And
Yeah.
that's what he's not dealt with. Running away to this vision quest or whatever he's doing, everybody can see that that is not going to solve his problem because he's taking his problem with him wherever he goes. So again, I 100% agree with you that his attitude is shitty to Langdon right now. I just don't know what to think about this case because it also looks like he's not wrong. So I just don't really know how to feel about it.
Okay, I agree with you on Robbie's attitude and carrying the weight on his shoulders, but I don't think Langdon did anything wrong here. And here's why. Because it seems to me Robbie is looking for some mistake or something that Langdon did so that he could have a reason to justifiably be openly hostile towards him like he is. When they were presenting this patient, and he didn't even ask Langdon, what did you do when you saw her in triage? He went straight to and asked Donnie, and Langdon had to be like, I was the one who saw her. And Langdon listed out what he did, and nothing Langdon did was wrong. You know, Dana gives Robbie advice later on because Robbie's like, you know, was it you that brought Langdon back here? And she said, no, Dr. Al did. And Dana says, you banished him to scut purgatory. He did everything you would have done. If you think he missed something, tell him. And I believe that's Dana's way of saying that he diagnosed the patient with what made sense based on the way that it presented. Even Robbie, I think Dana was telling him, even you wouldn't have seen that. And if you are seeing something he did wrong, then you need to tell him or you need to grow the fuck up.
But he did see it.
What?
That there was a potential that her infection was something more than what she was being treated for.
But no. But that wasn't an error. That was just the
Gut
diagnosis
instinct.
was different. That
Right.
was, yeah, Langdon didn't do anything wrong.
I don't think he did anything wrong. I don't think that Robbie's attitude is great. It's just a bit more ambiguous because at the end of the day, it does look like, which he tried to repeatedly say, not in a nice way, not in a professional way. You're right. I think it could have been anything, and he would have been looking for something that Langdon was screwing up. But he did try to say a few different times, I think this is bigger than what you're treating her for. And it didn't get addressed. So I also can feel his frustration about that.
Okay. I don't see it like that.
Which is why she ended up going septic at the end. I mean, he wasn't handling it professionally at all, but he wasn't wrong.
I think Robbie was wrong. I think Langdon treated her the way any physician would have treated her. And the reason Robbie amped up the tension on it is because by the time Robbie saw her, it had worsened. So of course you're going to notice these things at that point.
We're just going to agree to disagree on this. I see exactly what you're saying. I don't think he handled it professionally. I'm just saying that it's not as if in the script they wrote it out that Robbie was overreacting. The woman did start having all of the symptoms that he was concerned that she was going to have. Disgusting thing happened at the end where he really acted like a child. And I think, his PTSD was kicking in and he was getting frustrated because he felt like he was right and no one was listening to him. I'm just saying it's thematically interesting that he happened to be right.
Oh, that he happened to be right. I see okay. All right. That makes a little more sense. I think we're closer to agreeing than we think we are. But I do want to say that I am very glad that these two are being forced back together, because there's nothing Robbie needs more to realize he's got issues is to be forced into a situation where he has to face it. So I'm glad that he's finally now going to have to face Langdon, whether he wants to or not. And hopefully that will start the process of them healing their relationship.
Yeah, I think that's about the only thing that's going to jumpstart it, if anything jumpstarts it in this season before some kind of tragedy happens.
I do want to say that Robbie's pissed offness with Langdon did pay off with the way that Robbie grabbed that phone of the patients and told her boss to fuck off,
Oh, I
and
love
that he
that.
will not fire her. And if you do, she will sue you and I will testify on her behalf. And the look on Langdon and Dr. Al's faces was amazing. I loved that moment.
That might have been my favorite moment of the episode.
All right. So move on to Dr. Al and Langdon for a second. Really, the only thing I wanted to say here is I appreciate Dr. Al and how she is with her coworkers and especially with the students, where she's teaching them and she's very polite and good job if they get the answer right, or, coaching them through it. She's really, really good with dealing with all of these people. And then, she's not dumb. Everyone can sense the tension between Langdon and Robbie. She's checking on Langdon, and it's a little cryptic that she says Robbie won't be here, but I will. I hope that doesn't mean like Gloria is ready to boot Robbie out, because she's got the kind of person she wants in there. But she did say, I'm happy you're back. And you could just see a little bit of relief on Langdon's face when somebody was kind to him.
Yeah, I like that she is much more supportive of people who have struggled, but she also doesn't have the personal connection to Langdon that Robbie did. I just took it when she said, I'm going to be here and he's not, that she meant during the sabbatical. But
yeah. I'm just hoping it's not cryptic.
Yeah, Gloria don't like him.
Right. Oh, well, next up, do you want to say it?
Garcia! I love that she's been every episode.
That's what I told her. I sent her, she messaged me about something different that I had commented on, and I messaged her back saying how excited we are to see so much of her in this season. And she's like, I've only had like 3 lines. And I'm like, but they're great lines. And we get to see you in every episode. We're so excited.
Yeah.
I thought it was shitty when Robbie's realizing the significance of Debbie's injury and that she's got necrotitis fasciitis, which is a horrible thing if anybody wants to take a minute and read up on that. That poor surgical student comes in and he's like, where's Garcia? Where's whatever the other person's name? And he's like, I don't know any of those people. And Robbie's like, I do like that he said, don't take this the wrong way, but get me a fucking grown-up.
Yeah.
It was funny.
He was unraveling quite a bit in this episode.
And then Garcia comes busting in, and she doesn't help de-escalate the situation, but she's not fully on board with Robbie's diagnosis without proper testing. And Robbie, absolutely fed up, grabs the scalpel and cuts into that necrotitis spot on her leg and rattles off all of these medical things. And Garcia was pissed.
Yeah, that was what I was talking about. Like, I felt like it was an interesting plot choice that they made, that Robbie was not incorrect about that diagnosis, because you could really see him starting to get more and more frustrated because of his control issues, that he was trying to let other people do their job because he's not the only damn doctor there. But he just exploded in that moment. And what he did was pretty unethical. I mean, like, if the whole point is to get her treated, I don't know. I would have been pissed too if I was Dr. Garcia.
Yeah, and I don't blame her. Like, when you leave for your sabbatical and he's like, tomorrow, and she's like, not a moment too soon.
I love that she doesn't put up with his shit and does not find him charming. I love that.
He needs that.
Yes.
He definitely needs that. And the last thing I have about Garcia is when they're in the central area and she's wheeling Debbie up to surgery, the look that she shoots Robbie was like
Yeah, that was
death
great.
glare. It was beautiful.
Yeah, this is my favorite episode with Metz in it, and I was really, really happy to see her face again every time. I do hope she gets more lines and more storyline down the road, but even if it's just these little glimpses of her in every episode,
It's so amazing.
that's great. Yeah. I know we've covered this, but where's that hot nurse from last season that Javati had a crush on?
Mateo, I don't know. They've not, I know he did get, as far as like his personal life, the actor himself got a role on something else. So I don't know if he just wasn't available for this
Gotcha.
season, but they haven't given us any idea that they hooked up or that anything's going on. So I would love to get some kind of, even if it's just a random sentence here or there, like even like they did with Collins to wrap up that storyline. I'd love to get some update
Yeah.
because Javati seems to be smiling a lot lately. And I want to believe it's because she's getting some of that Mateo.
And nurse, what was
Ambar?
Armbar's character's name?
Oh, crap. Oh, I can't remember right now. Sorry, Ambar.
Well, either way, I'd like to see her back flirting with Whitaker. I know he's got the farm lady, but
We know she worked on this season. She's correct. So I do believe, hopefully, we'll see her in the background
cool.
at some point. All right. So Noelle and Dana, this was very interesting. So even Noelle, as bitchy and obnoxious as we thought she was the first episode, actually has some common sense, recognizing that as she says, Robbie has he's a 7-week itch kind of guy. And she seems aware of the kind of guy she's gotten involved with.
Yeah.
Which I think is very good. I don't know that it's good to get involved with someone,
right.
Isn't mentally healthy, but at least she's aware. But I still feel like she might be that I can change him, but she doesn't seem like she wants to change him. I don't know. But I liked it when she was talking about the TV, like obviously giving too much information that she's been in the privacy of his home. And Dana was like, do I look like I want to hear that?
Yeah, she's very protective of his, and she also I think it's very obvious she thinks that whole thing is a bad idea. And she's always going to be ride or die for Robbie. But I will tell you, I've never felt so attacked as when she was talking about how he has to have the TV on when he sleeps because he can't stand to be alone. Because everybody that knows me knows I have really bad insomnia and I wake up 4, 5, 6 times a night. And most of the time, I don't go to sleep with the TV on usually. But when I wake up in the middle of the night, I have to have have something playing on my phone in the background to just like trick my brain into thinking that there are people awake with me, or I won't be able to go back to sleep.
That's fair. I think a lot of people have that problem. I am the exact opposite. I like white noise, and I really don't mind the TV being on. It's the light from the TV. I need darkness.
That's why I turn it down, my phone face down, so you can just hear it. You can't see the light, but it's the same reason too. It's anxiety and PTSD, shit like that. So maybe that's why I feel a little sympathy for Robbie when he's about to sit back off. He's fucking tired.
Of all the things, Robbie, we can complain about, we get the fact that he needs the TV on. Yes. And imagine working and dealing with the crap that all of these doctors and nurses deal with on a daily basis to go home when you are by yourself. That complete silence would give you nothing but time to stop and think about every horrid bullshit you've seen all day. Oh my God, that makes perfect sense.
I would be shocked that all of them don't have PTSD.
Oh, if they don't, I would like to know either who their therapist is or what mental exercises they're doing to be so normal.
Yeah.
And I did like Dana saying that Robbie he's trying to find something new or he's running from something. Or was it someone or something that she said?
Something, running to something maybe. I don't know, but it was interesting because when she first talked to Noelle, I kind of wondered if she was protecting Noelle from Robbie, but now I think it's just she's protecting Robbie from Noelle. Like she just thinks Robbie is making a series of bad choices in his personal life.
Yeah.
I think she is more or less annoyed with old Noelle and her attitude about the whole thing.
It's interesting. I like their chemistry. And when they were talking and Dana is giving him updates on stuff and he makes that smart ass comment. Somebody needs a cigarette. And she's like, I'm trying to quit. And he's like, you couldn't wait till after I left for my sabbatical.
Yeah.
I love that they can throw punches at each other and they can take it because they
Yeah.
know each other so well. That is, and especially it's nice to see that kind of strictly platonic but strong relationship between a male and a female.
Yeah, I like that when she got in his ass about if, you got a problem with Langdon, then you need to be honest about it and tell him what the problem is instead of acting like a baby. I like that she doesn't kowtow to him either, that it's very much a relationship of equals, a mutual respect.
Yeah.
Well, I think that they are almost like siblings in a way, or, I think they understand each other and they complement each other. And it's really a nice relationship to see. It's a nice working relationship to see between a man and a woman. And you don't see it on TV very often. You're right.
It's cool. All right, so let's talk a second about Whitaker and Langdon. This is just a short note. Langdon comes in and checks on Louis, and he sees that his tremors are getting worse, and so he tells Perla to prescribe Louis some Librium. And Whitaker, way too quickly, he's like, "I'll put in the order." And the look on Perla's face was like, "I would rather be anywhere but here."
Please let the ground swallow me up.
Yeah, and then Whitaker's like, "Well, I only said it because he's listed as the doctor assigned to Louis," and I don't fully blame Whitaker here.
I think it was just bad luck.
It really was.
I think he would have said the same thing to anybody else.
Yeah, and I just think it was unfortunate that it happened to be Langdon. And when he saw Langdon's reaction, he realized, "Oh shit, I pissed him off." And then he, talking to the other ones later that he did that. But I was just poor Whitaker.
I know, because in some ways he's like the anti-Robbie, at least for now, until life breaks him, because he is very in tune with his sensitivity, his sensitive side, and is not afraid to apologize or to be wrong or to admit he's wrong and to learn from that. And I think it just was galling to him because he truly didn't mean anything about it. But I think he's beating himself up that he wasn't more sensitive to the fact that he would need to be more careful about certain things like that with Langdon for right now.
But I also think that Langdon is going to have to continue to be patient with people, because I think you brought up a couple of episodes ago when we were hashing out Langdon that he messed up. He did a really stupid, scary thing that could have affected not just Robbie and the hospital, but all of the staff that he interacted with. So I wouldn't blame Whitaker if he did say it on purpose, but I do think you're right. I think it was just bad luck. But Langdon's going to have to be patient with people as they grow to get used to, hopefully, that he still stays on this good track and is continuing to better himself.
Yeah, I think it's just a dance anytime you have a situation like that. And I feel like things with Robbie aside, which are terrible, but I think in general, he's getting a lot of support from his coworkers. And that's, what an awesome thing, because God, man, every single one of us has got some massive screw up in our past, and addiction is a disease, and he deserves a second chance for sure. And I think one of the moments I really liked this episode, as I'm seeing things that make me warm up a little bit more to Langdon, one of the moments was when they were talking about the bet that's going on about why the other ER is closed, and he chose not to get in that pool. You could see like the old Langdon, like the adrenaline junkie, like wanting to jump in there. But I think, first of all, good on you for paying your bills. But I also, and I don't know a whole lot about the steps, but I'm betting that this is part of his recovery to not partake in behaviors, adrenaline seeking behaviors that he used to take in the past. Like, I think he saw a trigger there and he avoided it, and good for him.
Yeah, I agree. Very good on him. All right. So next up under Robbie and Langdon. Well, before we do that, I do want to talk just real quick about that idiot brother duo who were branding themselves. And one of the funniest, like I said a couple episodes ago, and I think even last episode, give me more Donnie Langdon bromance, when the brother comes in and is like, "Do you want to see the video?" And they both look at each other. Donnie and Langdon look at each other and they're like, "Yeah." That was so freaking subtle but funny. Just the way that hilarious. I love their chemistry together.
Yeah, that was very funny. And I was also going, man, men are stupid. Like, I love that they just like they're doctors and nurses and professionals, but they're also dudes. And there are not many dudes who aren't going to be like, yes, let me see you do the absolute stupidest shit you could ever
Right.
possibly do.
And then when they said it's a family crest and it's literally the Pittsburgh Penguins hockey
Yes.
logo, see, that's something I would do. That would be like, Mandy, look at this tattoo I got, and it would be some 49er or something tattoo, and I would be like,
Uh,
it's my family crest, and you're like, no, idiot, that's the damn team logo. That shit was hilarious.
yes, but you would be smart enough to not give one of your siblings a hot iron to shove into your chick. Men are
I don't know.
oh, girl.
I don't know. All right, here's the heartbreakingest part of this whole episode. And I thought about saving this for last, but I just want to go ahead and just rip off the band aid. Robbie minds, we'll get to why Robbie ends up with a beer, but he gets a beer that he's going to take to Louis, which I think is very, I don't know what hospital policies are. I was reading through some feedback on a post, and there are not hospitals, but like some nursing care facilities where these are people saying this, that they do have doctors who will prescribe beer for patients who are going through withdrawals or have alcohol disease, something. I've never heard of
Hmm,
it,
me either.
but I guess there's always the debate with Robbie is what he's doing ethical or not. But I think it's sweet that he's looking out for Louis, knows what Louis needs, and he's going to get it one way or the other. As soon as he walks out, Louis is going to go get what he wants. But I don't know. It tugged at my heartstrings a little bit for Robbie to be so harsh all episode with just about everyone. To see that Robbie kindness, I liked it.
Yeah.
But then we go in to visit Louis, and Langdon has discovered that Louis I'm guessing he's in cardiac arrest. And they both immediately, it was like old times, like that chemistry that those two had in season one before all this came to light, how they play off each other and work off each other and know what the other one needs before even having to ask for it. I did like seeing them work together. And I hope, like I said earlier, that forcing them to be together, I hope Robbie doesn't push him out of the room when somebody else shows up to assist, because Louis means as much to Langdon as he does to Robbie.
Yeah.
Them working together to save somebody they both care about would help strengthen their relationship again.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how it all play out, but it did look like we were leaning towards a moment where they were at least temporarily going to forget their issues and come together to try to save Louis. I don't think he's gone.
He can't be.
I feel like they're going to bring him back. That's a longer story arc, and Louis gets help.
Yeah, we get to see Louis thrive. I'd like to see a moment where Louis comes in next season with sandwiches for the staff just because he wants to say hi and how's everybody doing. He's got his landscaping business back open or something. It'd just be
Yeah.
great to see Louis get a happy ending and him not go out this way.
Yeah. Some of the inevitability of the way that they treat Louis, it makes me sadder than the thought of Louis dying, honestly. It's poignant that Robbie was going to go ahead and bring him a beer, but that also kind of makes me sad because it's
Yeah.
like they've just written off that this is who Louis is. But then that tracks with the way that Robbie treats himself. I mean, he's very pessimistic. He's in a dark place, still in a dark place. And I think he just kind of, because of everything he's done and seen, he only thinks there is so much happiness in this life and no more. And that's a real bummer.
That's a good point. I didn't look at it as enabling.
Yeah, I don't know that that's the right word. I mean,
It's the closest
technically.
I could think.
No, I think you're not wrong. I just think we agree that, like, in the context of their relationship, it absolutely is a kindness that he was trying to do for him. There's just something sad about that reality. I imagine there's a lot of Louis and a lot of EDs across the country. You know what I mean? Like, alcoholism is one of, if not the most prominent disease people get treated. Well, I don't know. That's probably an exaggeration, but it's probably really common. And I think that you probably do have a lot of doctors who have just like, this is we're just treating the symptoms and trying to make them as comfortable as possible. But because we both know people who have gotten into recovery and gone on to lead really great lives, it's just kind of sad. And I hope that the whole full story arc gets to come to fruition, that Louis gets out of this cycle.
While you were sitting here talking, it made me think of how many years these doctors have been at this hospital. How many years has Louis been coming in? And did we miss that? Dana telling him, you always let him know we're here and you never stop offering. Makes me wonder how many times did they maybe get him into treatment?
Right. You don't know. Maybe that's the story.
Yeah, that would make more sense to me. That would help me better swallow the sadness of it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I would imagine that's in the background there, like I'm sure that he didn't just come in the first day presenting with all these horrible symptoms and they were just like, fuck it.
Yeah. Want a shot? Shots.
Right. I imagine it's been years. I understand why they probably get to that. And it's just, I don't know, just bums me out. I don't ever like to think about anybody's life being without hope,
Oh, yeah. All right. So moving on to the next main point is your girl Santos. They beat us over the head with Santos trying to get her charting done. She keeps getting interrupted.
Which she did. I know it's a couple points down, but what she did to Whitaker this episode was she's being a real asshole the last two episodes. Like, she's bullying him. And it's shitty. It is fun to see. Like, I love watching her work with Ogilvy. And it is still worth mentioning that, like, she's a great doctor. She's compassionate with her patients and caring. But she's being a real dick to Whitaker. And I can't wait to see him tell her off. He was way kinder to her than he should have been this episode.
He started off when he interrupted her while she was charting. And he's apologizing to her. And I'm like, literally saying out loud, you have nothing to apologize for.
Yeah.
And two, he's offering to help her. And then she's an ass about it. But then we get the Mrs. Randolph who's taking Percocet, which is causing her stomach issues. And they do all the regular tests and come to find out she's impacted. I did love that she put that on Ogilvy. I like seeing Ogilvy get knocked down a few
That
pegs.
Was great. I did enjoy that.
He is a cocky SOB and he needs it. He really needs it.
Yeah.
So it was hilarious to see him have to do it. But I agree with you. It was crappy of...
No pun intended.
That's funny. I think it was stupid or wrong that she brought Whitaker in. But I do love that Whitaker's like, all right. Once he's like, isn't this the med student's job? And Santos makes her smart comment. But man, she's funny. Even when I'm mad at what she's saying, I'm still laughing.
I love her. She's still and always my favorite. And I think that, at the end of this season, we're going to see her remember to quit being... Hopefully she's going to learn a good lesson because she does care about Whitaker and she is a caring person. She just is also incredibly competitive. I think there's a reason you see her and Robbie vibing so much this season. I think there's a lot of each other in those two characters. Like, I think they get each other.
Yeah.
And the thing about being, very, very driven and passionate about what you do is it can make you good. But especially with something like this, it has to be married to humility. And she definitely needs to take a little bit of lumping before she needs to stop with poor Whitaker. Like, it's like kicking a kitten.
I know. But I think that's part of why she does it. It's because it's easy.
Yes,
Whitaker
I agree,
is easy to beat down.
Putting up with that shit.
No, I love Dana.
That was
she's like,
awesome.
why are you torturing me? And she says, perks of the job.
Yeah, that was awesome. And that was a great pivot there that you go from seeing her, pecking at Whitaker to seeing Dana handing her shit to Santos. You can see that she's capable of being respectful and thoughtful. You see it in other relationships she's got in the hospital. She's just bullying him and it's shitty.
It was shitty. We got puns.
But that was awesome seeing Ogilvy get the shit tornado.
And I thought it was even funnier that it was Whitaker warning him.
Yeah.
Like, you need to move, because Whitaker's like, look, I saw some shit last season, and I am not going to be in the line of fire. Whatever's about to come out, and if you're smart, you're going to get out of the way.
I saw an interview with him, and he was saying he thought originally when he saw it in the script that it was going to end up on him.
Aww.
So he was pleasantly surprised.
It would have been fun to see Scrubgate back on.
Yeah.
I do wonder if he's gotten his new badge. Let's try to remember next week to look to see if we can see if he still says student on his badge.
Yeah, that's so funny. I forgot about that.
So Dr. Al suggests for Santos to try and use her AI tool. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. And as the conversation is happening, Damian Marcano is the king of background reactions, like getting Garcia's evil eye when Robbie's having a conversation with somebody else. And he does it here where Robbie's listening in as you just get that shot of Robbie in the background while Al is having this conversation about her AI with Santos.
And he's over there like choking on his tongue. He's trying so hard to bite it, and it lasts like 10 seconds.
Yes, but I thought it was really cool that we got some juicy info. Well, not juicy. I mean, it's beautiful. We got some info that, because Robbie makes this snide comment about if we use this tool, it could just force us to have to see more patients, which means, and we won't get paid for that. And she says, well, she's trying to advocate for more time with her son. So we learned she has a kid. That might have something to do with her reaction with the baby.
Could be. I thought that was intriguing as well, but I thought it was also just an interesting exposition journey there where we were getting both the pros and cons of generative AI in the ED. They laid it out there. The cons are that you lose this human connection and all of that. And then the pros are that it frees you up. And Robbie's not wrong that unfortunately, a lot of hospitals are going to just then use that as an excuse to schedule even more patients and more responsibility onto them. But she's not wrong that in a lot of situations, private practices, smaller places like that are not quite so profit driven, not that it's not all profit driven, you can free up time that you could spend with family and friends. But that's very much coming from the Veterans Affairs or the VA
right.
kind of attitude.
Yeah.
It's
for
not
sure.
necessarily the reality where they're at now in the pit.
Good point. Very good point. Yeah, I'm very interested to see at the end of the season how much she's still advocating for her program to be used exactly the way she wants it to be used, or if she's going to realize, okay, and maybe they could, revamp it to where it could be beneficial. And I don't know. I'm curious about a lot, but I'm very curious to see where she ends up at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's going to be a story arc here where she's going to realize that some of her practices are just not going to seamlessly translate.
There has to be with the analog drama that's coming up, you can't rely on AI because you don't have the technology, you don't have access to the technology. So I'm interested to see how she handles emergency medicine without her
without her tools. Yeah.
Blankie, I guess, security blanket, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I just want to say, LOL at poor Ogilvy getting exposed to TB. And I thought it was very sad that the percentage, I think it was like 70, 80% of staff get exposed.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I have on main points. You got anything else you want to add before we head into chart notes?
Nope.
All right. First chart note. Mohan, Joy, Hastings, and Mr. Diaz. I really wanted to put this in here because I really love how Joy is evolving each episode. And, also because this highlights, again, the ridiculousness of our healthcare system, that it costs for 3 days in an emergency medicine, it would cost you up to $100,000. I remember when I got put into the emergency room, I asked for Tylenol because I had a horrible headache. I was charged $500 for
Crazy.
2 extra strength Tylenol.
It's bananas.
And it doesn't make sense to me. We know what that costs over the counter. So think about medicines you can't get over the counter. And why is it $1,000 for saline IV drip? It just pisses me off. And that this man is literally willing to die to save his family thousands of dollars of debt. It sucks.
Yeah, so common.
Yeah. And Hastings came in and she didn't really help at first, but she was trying by offering some options that, the hospital can pay a discount. And why isn't this offered initially from the start? I don't understand. But I like that Joy stepped up and was like, no, we can do this. He could be admitted into med surge and be taken care of. And Hastings actually does good here and works it out with the nurse there that they can get him the insulin he needs, and that at least he's still going to be out thousands of dollars, but at least it's not as much.
Yeah, first of all, I wonder why it's so much cheaper in med surge than it is, I guess, than private room, maybe. I don't know. But secondly, I think it's cool to see her again, like her character. We get more information about who she is and why she is the way she is. I wonder if she wants to be a doctor. I mean, she mentioned something about not wanting to be around death anymore after she saw what her grandmother went through. So I'm wondering, like, is this a situation where she feels like she has to go into medicine because of family pressure, or if this is really where she wants to be?
Well, if I remember correctly, and this is from my years of watching ER, that doctors do rotations before choosing their specialty. So it's possible this is just one of her student rotations and that emergency medicine isn't her long-term goal. Like maybe she will end up in psychiatry or something like that. That's what made me think. I was like, when she made that comment, I was like, why are you even here? But then I was like, wait a minute, these guys have to do rotations and be a part of each aspect of a working hospital to be able to move into a specialty. So maybe that's what she's doing.
Yeah, and maybe her journey is that she just accepts that this is not where she wants to be, or maybe she did it's like Javati last season, and she decides she does. I don't know. We'll see. But I do like seeing these little glimpses of her character, and I wanted to high five her for offering her patient somewhat of a better alternative. The problem with our healthcare is that no politician ever offers a solution that takes the fucking insurance companies out of decision making and holds them accountable for the god awful rates that they are charging people.
Yep.
And the profits that they reap in over people's literal dead bodies. That's the problem. No politician ever has offered a solution that's going to solve that problem. And until we do, this is going to be...
People are going to die
Yeah.
because they have to make a choice, pay their electric bill or go get healthcare that they need. And that's mental health too. It sucks. It absolutely sucks.
Well, like I mentioned last episode, my dad literally died because he was rationing his insulin. He also went out and ate a gigantic Mexican meal full of carbs the night before he passed, but the insulin definitely was the bigger problem. And it was because he didn't have 2 nickels to rub together and he couldn't afford his medicine. So he had to make choices between keeping the lights on and staying alive, and he gambled wrong. And, it's just a sad reality.
Yeah, it should not be one or the other. It sucks.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Victor is awake. And I really put this in here because I loved the way Dr. Al talked to his sister and that she has to care for herself too. And I appreciate so much how when the sister was frustrated with what campus security did by tasering him, aren't they supposed to, protect us and keep us safe? Dr. Al absolutely 100% validated her feelings about how her brother was treated and that she can take action. But the first thing we need to do for you to be here, and this is something I'm struggling with being here for my mom, but also having to take care of myself so that I can be here for my mom. That hit home. That really hit home. And I was grateful to see that shown on television to remind people you've got to take care of yourself if you want to be able to be there for anybody else. And I love that it was Dr. Al that delivered that. It just shows, again, more of her compassion and care in her character.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Dr. Robbie and Al. I just thought that their interaction where she just flat out says, "Why are you treating me like a resident?" And another Damian Marcano signature move. Did you notice Langdon in the background taking that whole conversation in?
Yeah.
Loved
There was
it.
a lot of that. A lot of ear hustling this episode. She's not wrong.
No, she's not. Of course, he says he's not, that he just, as attending, he needs to be in the know and what his doctors and all the patients. And then she turns around and says, well, as a fellow attending, don't I need to know the same? And all he can do is say, touche, because you're right. And I love seeing these women give Robbie the business, and he has to take it. He has to take his medicine.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of obnoxious things about her, but she is 100% right in that moment. He was talking to her like she was one of his students, and she is fully as in charge of that ED as he is.
Yeah.
I remember to use ED more.
I know. I have a hard time with it because, to me, as my 12-year-old mind kicks in, ED is erectile dysfunction.
Erectile dysfunction? Yeah,
so
me too.
You were reading the synopsis and you said ED. I don't know if you saw me giggling.
No, I giggle internally every time I say it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm probably going to lean towards ER.
It's just like how in Eric's job, they've got job titles. One of them is a DOM, and they have like some kind of report or something that they have that's called a BDE. And every single time I hear either one, I start giggling. And I'll never stop. And it stopped being funny to Eric like 5 minutes after I explained to him why it was funny.
Yeah, he probably was like offended.
No, he's not offended. He's just like, grow up.
You're like, no.
Yeah.
That's one thing Mandy and I will never do.
Yeah.
You have our bow on that.
Yeah, I'm trying to say it more because that's what, whenever I watch like the interviews or anything with the cast, they always say that. So I'm just trying to be like the cool kids.
You are the cool kid.
I agree.
All right, so next up we have McKay and the sweet cancer patient. Did you happen to get this young lady's name? I was so involved in the storyline, I didn't even listen for her name. We see Lena again, the night shift nurse, and we learn that she moonlights as a death doula. And I love this show for bringing us information that I never knew existed. And I think it's a beautiful, what's your name?
Roxy.
Roxy, thank you. I think it's a beautiful thing to have someone that has medical knowledge, but also understands, has compassion and care, that would be willing to be there to help coach you through the end of your life, dealing with somebody who is facing the end of her life. This shit killed me, man. I don't even know if I can talk about.
I thought about you the entire time I was watching it, and it really felt unfair that you have to deal with this storyline right now specifically. But it also made me wish that you had somebody with you that could help you with these choices and decisions. This storyline broke my heart. Like, it was hard enough to watch it once. Watching it a second time just about killed me, because if I'm not wrong, where they're going with this is that he panicked and shouldn't have called the ambulance because she wants to pass at home. And what it's looking like is that she's not going to make it home.
And it's just watching her go with losing her dignity because she couldn't make it to the bathroom and she had to use the bedpan. It's hard to watch your loved ones die, and then you are the one who has to balance treating them normally, listening to what they want, trying to save and give them as much dignity as you can, but also understanding the limitations that are in front of you. It is a tricky balance. And I get why he panicked. I get that, your first instinct is, I have to help this person. I have to save them. And I think this is also a very important note to anyone listening, healthy or not, get an advance directive. issue medical power of attorney, do whatever you need to do to make sure that when your time comes, you are able to leave this earth with the dignity that you want. I also think that's a very important thing that the storyline could
I
lead
agree.
to.
I think that it's going to destroy us, but I'm glad they're choosing to tell this story because, again, first of all, Lena, man, you're a charge nurse all day and then you're doing this at night. Like, how tired must she be?
Tired, but she's still a freaking ray of sunshine,
I know
man.
she
I was
is.
watching her like,
I need whatever Lena's got.
I need this woman's energy and smarts, or I need this woman in my life.
Yeah, those are the perfect people to do that sort of thing.
It's
like
amazing.
hospice. Yes, Becky knows, last year I lost an aunt and an uncle to cancer. And my aunt, particularly, we were pretty close and we had several dealings with her hospice staff. And they're just some of them I've heard people say that they've had negative experiences with some hospice, but honestly, the ones that I have met have been saints, most of them. I mean, the things that, and those are the good ones, the people that can keep that energy up while watching literally the most horrendous thing that a human being can experience, which is, a slow ending of usually a painful ending of a good person's life. They're saints, man. I'm so glad for them. And I hope that, God forbid when my time comes that I would have Alina there to try to advocate for me when I can't, to
You'll
try to
have
make sure.
me.
Yeah. Well, girl, what do you makes you think you're outliving me? We're going together like Thelma and Louise.
Oh, that's right. Well, Mandy and I hope that we ever in this situation that we have ourselves a Lena. And if there are any Lenas listening that want to come help me now, let me know.
Oh,
Okay. So yeah, I need to get off the subject.
For sure.
So this storyline fascinated me for several different reasons. So we get Gus, a prison inmate. God bless America at the injuries on this man's body.
Oof.
Several things I found interesting here. First off, the security guy was an asshole about uncuffing him. This is a patient that was supposed to have gone to Westbridge, but because they were closed, came here. I don't think whatever this hospital is called, sorry, I should know that, sees a lot of this because they weren't familiar with the cuffing situation.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. They weren't familiar with the cuffing situation. That did seem to be brand new information for most of the people that were there. But I also thought that guy was just being
he was being
ridiculously
a dick.
aggressive about it. Yeah.
And I think I like Dr. Al questioning him, where were you when this happened? Which made me think when we find out when they're doing the stitches and the poor guy's skin keeps ripping instead of holding together, that I hope this storyline is going to either give us a glimpse into
penal medicine,
but also the prison system in general, and how abused inmates are by security personnel and whatnot. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in the prison system that a lot of us don't ever see or don't know about because and a lot of these are private security or privately owned prisons. So I hope this is going to give us more insight into that.
Yeah. I mean, they brought up the possibility that he's suffering from malnutrition. You clearly have this situation where you've got this guard who has a bit of a God complex. He doesn't even seem to be bowing to doctors in their own emergency room. It very much feels like that's kind of where they're going with it. I want to be real careful about using a broad brush to paint every security guard, and not that that's what Becky was doing, as, some kind of petty little tyrant, and that every single person who works in the penal system is a bad person. But what I will say is any position that allows you to have literal life and death control over another human being, i.e., where you get to carry a literal firearm, it does seem to attract, it's more than its fair share of assholes who just want power over somebody. What's the word I'm looking for? Sadists who just want to have power over people. So yeah, I'm interested to see where they're going with this.
I don't think this beating came from other inmates.
I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious to see. I definitely don't think that anybody did anything to stop it.
Right. I'm curious.
What's crazy is this is the second shitty security guard story this season. Because we had the campus security guard.
Now that guy is sadistic. Oh, look at me. I have a taser. I have power and was
Right.
abusing it. I don't know that that's what this particular one is. I just think he came in and acting like an asshole.
Yeah, he gives that vibe. And also, though, I'm wondering about that. Like, is this just going to be like the season of the bad security guards?
Right. That's our theme.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it is to show the differences in security guards because we have our amazing security guard for the Pitt who
Right, at
is
the hospital.
amazing, and I've got to learn that character's name. Maybe it's going to be a balance. We're going to get more coming in, and some will be
Yeah.
great and some won't.
I really want to hear what that kid has to say about how he ended up getting tased and what this prisoner is going to say about how he ended up in the situation that he's in. I feel like there's a good potential here. They could run into like some rules and regulations regarding care of prisoners or questions that they're going to start asking that are going to make people uncomfortable. Yeah, this could be interesting.
Yeah, because as of now, this guy's not leaving his side. So how are they going to get honest answers
Real
if
information.
it's
Yeah.
so yeah, I really liked this introduction. They introduced us with several new patients this week, and all of them I think are very interesting stories. But this one, the cancer patient, I thought was really poignant and important. It's just that's hard for me to watch right now. So that this one, not that because I'm making it sound like it's better to watch somebody that's been gotten the shit beat out of
No,
them
you're
than
just saying
watching.
it's not personally as triggering as to you right now as that is.
Yes.
No, I want to see like is that a theme? Is it something about abuse of power that's going to become a bigger storyline here? But I think you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about how we got introduced to so many new patients this episode. That's what you were talking about when you were saying that it was hard to describe this episode. The episode was just felt like it was just like consistently us moving and bouncing into new storylines where we're
Yes.
getting like introduced to things that are going to be bigger, but it was a lot of like exposition this episode and not as much like it was just a lot of moving parts and we're just diving into the first layer, so we don't have a lot of answers. Got a lot more questions, not so many answers.
Yeah. Next up, I just want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Al working with King and Mohan. I think I've talked about it a little bit before, just how great she is with her students or teaching. And we do get some continuity with Mohan's cell phone ringing that her mom's calling her again and that King is still stressed out about her deposition coming up. So I just wanted to just touch base on that real quick.
Yeah.
And last chart note is Mr. Allegheny is back. Imagine
That poor
you
man.
need freaking surgery and you can't get it at the hospital you're at because insurance won't cover it. So they take you to the hospital where you're going to get surgery. You can't get surgery there because they shut it down and you're back to the original place. And God knows when you're going to get surgery. And I felt that man's sadness when he was like, "Can I get something to eat?" And Robbie's like, "No.
Yes.
It's not right."
Like they would hate me at that point. I would be this bitch over here. They would hate me so bad. The second that they told me I had to leave the second hospital would have been when Mandy's whole ass came out. And
Joy from Friday would have come out.
Yes. Hell no. Hell no. Like that is the limit of my shitty customer service where I would just be like, no, now you got to meet the other Mandy.
I love it. By the way, I've seen other Mandy. 10 out of 10 recommend.
I don't know. No, that's not what
As
my
long
kids
as it's
say.
not directed at you. 10 out of 10 recommend watching her do it to somebody else.
Oh man, I would have been so pissed off if I were that poor man. Robbie, though, like it's crazy to see Robbie bounce back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between like barely holding on by a razor's wire to being Mr. Charming. I'm going to diffuse the situation because that's what my patient needs in the moment. Like to watch him be like that with this guy, but then on the other hand, literally freaking out that woman that was being treated for sepsis by ratcheting up the tension in the room to the nth degree by basically throwing a little bit of a tantrum. Like it's just an interesting dichotomy.
It is, but kudos to Noah Wiley and his acting ability for
Both versions.
selling it from point A to point B. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to say is that we get a conversation with Dana that there's no word from Gloria about what's going on at Westbridge. And Robbie asks Dr. Al, since I think he said buddies with Gloria. And she said, no, she hasn't heard anything. And they're not able to make contact. And Robbie worries that this might be a security issue.
Yeah.
So, uh-oh.
Yeah. I don't feel like that's where they're going with it, but who knows?
I feel like it's going to be something cyber. I feel like Westbridge got shut down for a cyber attack, and that's what's going to shut down the Pitt emergency department. And I say that because that's what made me think the bus was going to wreck, because somebody was going to have hacked into the city and shut down the electric, the grid. And that's why I thought it was going to be a bus accident. So at this point, so to avoid misdiagnosis, having to say this in misdiagnosis later, at this point, I think it could be a cybersecurity threat.
Yeah, whether I don't know if it's going to be an attack or something benign that caused it to happen, but that definitely leans towards why Gloria's mom, because Gloria too is an administrator above all things. And that would be galling for her to admit that their technology failed and that was the problem. Whether it was caused by someone or just a fluke, that would definitely be something Gloria would really struggle with admitting until she absolutely had to.
For real. I didn't look at her IMDb to see if she was credited for any episodes this season, and I'm not going to because I want it to be a surprise.
Which, just like when Robbie sees her, you want her to pop up and just have that little jump scare.
Yeah, there you are. I like it. All right, that's all I have on this episode. How about you?
I'm good.
All right, so final thoughts. I'm a yay on this one. It wasn't my favorite episode of the season, but like I said earlier, I do think it was great that we got some new storylines introduced. They brought back in some continuity. It wasn't super great, but it wasn't bad. So I'm going to give it 4.25 poop splatters out of 5.
Oh my God. I was going to say 4.5 poop tornadoes.
Well, say 4.5 poop tornadoes.
No, I disagree with you. I mean, it wasn't a bad episode at all. It just wasn't one of those that you're going to remember forever and ever because it was mostly exposition. So It was more of like a moving the plot along kind of episode. I didn't read it, but I'm going to read it. NPR wrote a review about this season, and they said something to the extent, the headline was, last season, everything happened. This season, anything could happen. And it was basically about how last season was about this massive emergency. This season is about the grinding realities of everyday things that don't change quickly at all. And it's how that also grinds these doctors down. The insurance issues that they have, just the, horrible death that they see, the bureaucracy that they got to deal with, all that stuff, like the systemic problems that aren't going anywhere is more what this season is about, which I know not everybody's loving, but I am. I just don't think you can sustain a series where every single episode then you become cartoony if every episode is a crisis, is a massive crisis.
Didn't Justin say something like that last episode?
I believe so.
Yeah, and he's right. What do you have left if you take everything and pack it into
every single episode?
Yeah.
Right. So it was a great episode. It wasn't, my favorite in the series, but it's got some really intriguing plot lines that it's laid down, and I'm really curious to see where we're going with all of it.
Yeah.
I do have a misdiagnosis, though.
Oh, good. What do you got? I love it when you're wrong.
I think that I'm wrong about Santos having a learning disorder. I'm not sold that that's where. I think you were absolutely right that this is going to be more of a story of her struggling with the fact that she's got to put in more time doing the shit that she finds boring.
Y'all can't see it, but I just did a happy dance.
Yeah.
My two favorite words to hear from Mandy are, "You're right."
It's only happened just the once now, so I'm glad you found that new joy.
And anytime I want to humble myself, I just go back and listen to our episodes of The Better Sister because I was wrong about everything. And Mandy was so right.
That one, well, to be fair, the writing is like apples to oranges
That
here.
is a good
Like,
point.
there was, yeah, like a lot of that was super obvious when we go back and we look at it. But I also want everybody to know that Becky's happy dance, if you are sad that you couldn't visually see it, just picture Elaine Bennis, and that was pretty much what was going on there.
I'm not even gonna dispute it. This girl does not, okay, I can choreograph dance like it's going out. You show me the move, I can do it. But you put me on a dance floor at the club and I look like I'm trying to herd rodeo or something. It is bad. It is so bad.
You're still one above me because I can't even follow choreographed instructions.
One of these days when we learn to edit video, the podcast is just gonna be 30 minutes of me and Mandy trying to do Zumba together.
Oh my God. Whew. That just made me laugh thinking about it. Oh God, I feel like we have to make that happen for our own amusement.
Right? All right. Well, let's move on into feedback. We did get a little bit of feedback this week, and we'll start with some that we got from the Pitt fans fan page. Taylor Boggs wrote, "I hate Ogilvy with a passion and found it hilarious how much he got screwed over this episode with 2 crying laughing face emojis." And I agree with you, Taylor. That was the best part of the episode.
I just don't like him, and I wonder if they're going to do something at some point to make his character more likable. But right now, like out of everybody in this series, I got to say he's the one that I cannot find a redeeming quality for.
The only nice thing I could say about Ogilvy is when he screwed up last episode and he admitted it and he said he was sorry and it would never happen again. And that was the end of it. So I think he would make somebody a good partner one day, being able to admit, being able to humble yourself. And I think by the end of we may not love him, but I think we will see a softer side of him. I hope.
I hope so.
I don't want to hate him this whole time, but right now, yeah, he's kind of
It's kind of fun. I'm kind of enjoying it. Via the Pitt fan page, Linda Morrison, our girl, says,
"Hey, girl."
Hey, Linda. She says Louie and then 3 crying sad face emojis. Please have the actor that plays Louie on your podcast. We would love to, Linda. She says, if this is it for Louie, I'd love to hear his voice again. Man, we would love to. I don't think he has much social media.
He doesn't. He's not real big on social media, but I will reach out to those who have been in contact with us that have worked with the character on the show and see if anybody can. We'll try. We will try very hard.
That's a great idea.
And Charles Tupper wrote, "Cellulitis moves fast." To which I say, right? That was crazy.
Ugh, oh, that was a really maybe the grossest.
That was awesome
of the procedure.
It was. I don't think Robbie should have done it, but I wasn't mad when he did because I was like, wow.
Oh my God. Mirko Tallerini. Oh my Lord. Mirko. I love that name.
That's like we got Mirko Tallerini and Damian Marcano.
I know. We need to get those two together on an episode. The Heated Rivalry Part 2. Anyway, Mirko Tallerini says, "Scene!" Exclamation point. Congratulations to the authors. They don't disappoint.
I wasn't sure because this was on the feedback post. I'm not sure if this was about the episode or if I'm just vain and this was about us. So,
I don't know.
Mirko, I'm going to go ahead and say that you're talking about how Mandy and I are the authors and we don't disappoint, but also give credit to the show that they don't disappoint either.
Yeah, that's how I'm taking it. Via the Pit with Noah Wiley on Mac's fan page, Terry Dahlheimer Rollins says, I know Dr. Robbie is going on a sabbatical, but he should hurry up and go. He's being kind of a dink.
Oh
Girl.
my gosh. Amen.
Agreed. Yeah, he really is being an asshole this season. Again, I have empathy. It's definitely his PTSD. He's still, and that's the thing with mental illness. It kind of like the same issue that Langdon is going through. Like, you don't get to pick how your healing journey is going to go, especially as it relates to people that you have hurt in the past, etc. With mental illness and PTSD, Robbie wants to have a magic pill that he can take and go on a 3-month sabbatical and just be cured of all of his issues. And that's just not how it works.
No. I do hope we get one season of a healthy, fully functioning. I mean, everybody's going to have down days and whatnot. So I'm not saying he's going to be perfect, but I do hope we do get to see him being healthy and being happy.
Yeah. I don't know that he can do it in the emergency medicine, but we'll see. We're only 2 seasons in.
And we got a voicemail from our girl, Sam, who's going to be joining us next week. I'm so excited. And here is what she had to say about episode 5.
Hi, ladies. Whew, it is not looking good for our Dr. Robbie, is it? He is just showing all the warning signs. I mean, he's being a ginormous asshole to just about everyone. I mean, we get why he's avoiding Langdon, I guess. It's just, you can't do that. Like, this whole episode made me switch teams. I'm like, I am so pro Dr. Al-Hashimi, except for the stupid AI stuff. As soon as she stops with that stuff, that will be helpful. I didn't like how she picked on Santos either. I get it. Yes, you need to get your charts in and all that stuff, and she does need to learn those skills. I really like Dr. Santos this season. I think she's doing a great job. I think she's measured. I think she's still her. And there's a lot of growth in there. Like, she's not reckless. Who is reckless is Robbie now. And I get it. I mean, he has enough skill that he can still pull off really good stuff. It's just unhinged. It's like he's spinning and spinning and spinning, and you're just waiting for him to finally crash. Was he really bringing that beer in to Louis? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. A going away gift. Dear God. It's real bad. Like, that's so many levels of bad. Oh, he's making such bad judgment calls. And we see, Langdon was the loose screw last season. And we see it now. Robbie is the threat to his team. We're just seeing him do this stuff. Called it for the necrotizing fasciitis. Yay me for calling it. It's one of my greatest fears. It is horrendous. It's nonstop. It is so deadly. And he's I get it. I get why he did that. It's just we saw with Dr. Garcia. She's like, when are you leaving? Because you need a reboot. And people are kind of teasing him about this. And yes, you ladies are right. He did go to therapy before. What he's doing is an avoidance tactic we call doctor shopping. So I think he's putting up shields of I'm not matching with anyone, which is fair. Definitely what you guys said last week. Look for a doctor or a therapist that you connect to. I don't think he's doing that at all. I think he's meeting with them for one session and being I don't like him, probably for a lot of different reasons. I don't think
he's just not open.
Like you ladies said, I don't think he wants help. He needs it. He's not ready for it. So he's just, you cannot treat someone in recovery like that. And I'm glad Langdon has Dr. Al-Hashimi, because this is horrendous. You can't do this. You can't be mean mugging him in the hospital. What are you talking about? He had an addiction, and yes, he lied, but he's actually done the work. So, and Langdon was good, even with the gambling, on, the bets. He didn't engage in it. He used the excuse of medical bills, which might be accurate, but you don't engage in addictive behaviors when you're in any kind of recovery. And that's kind of like the golden rule. I know people have different takes on it. So I am just really nervous at this spin out. I'm just kind of concerned about it and where this is going. Also, freaking Louis better not die.
Right.
I'm so nervous about this. What do you ladies think? What are our sweet Louis' odds for next episode?
I don't they could go anywhere with it, but I hope that we talked about it. I hope he stays.
I feel like he's going to make it at least through this. But hey, I could totally be wrong. Really, there's no way. That's just a gut feeling, but there's no way to know for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Sam. I was very curious what she would have to say about the beer, and she went pretty much where I thought she was going to, that was very unethical, but
What it made me think of is her comment several episodes back about Robbie having passive suicidal ideation. I think it is all part and parcel of that. When I was saying that I feel like he is very cynical, I think he's depressed. And I just think that he only sees so much hope in humanity and life. And I think he has just decided that Louis' fate is inevitable and his duty is to just, make him as comfortable as possible, which is, that's not your job as his doctor. I understand why he did it. I don't really judge the character too hard for wanting to take him the beer because I think I know what this character's mindset is about that sort of stuff. But I do think that in the real world, it would be the wrong thing to do.
absolutely.
We really appreciate the feedback everybody sent in. It makes us so happy to hear from you guys each week. I know we tell you that a lot, but it really does.
And if you would like to get in touch with us, leave some feedback or just say hello or tell me I'm right, whatever works for you, you can email or send us a voice message as an attachment to what's on tonight and the number 2 at gmail.com.
You can visit our Facebook page where there will be a post for the next episode, and you can leave feedback in the comments section or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. We can be found on Instagram as well at What's On Tonight Podcast and the number 2. We would greatly appreciate it if you would leave a review, comment, like, and or share on your podcast listening app of choice.
So, Mandy, what say we go help Santos catch up on her charting? And while we're doing that, we can all talk about where else listeners can find us, podcast recommendations, good TV or movies, or anything else you want to share. What do you have for us this week?
I would just like to remind everybody about Amanda Nelson, who is on most social media podcast apps as Amanda's Mild Takes. She is a political commentator and activist, and she is incredibly reassuring, along with Heather Cox Richardson. But I would say even more than Heather Cox Richardson, because she is speaks in layman's terms and takes incredibly complex issues and breaks them down in a way that helps you to stay informed of the very concerning things going on, but also keeps you motivated to keep moving forward. And one of my favorite things she does is every Tuesday, Friday, she does Trump's L's for the week. And she tells you all the ways that this administration has failed at doing the things that they're trying to do. So I find that very, very reassuring.
I still need to check her out.
She's awesome. Also, Last Podcast on the Left is currently doing a series. Actually, I think I got the subscriber early access, so you may not be able to access it until starting next Friday. But they're doing a series on the DuPont family, which is fascinating because they're they're educating you on how one family has been just one family has been controlling so much of American politics for the last 200 years, and how that very much helped us to get to a situation where we have a Jeffrey Epstein. It's too hard to explain in this brief explanation, but I think it's very valuable information for most Americans to have. I'm finding it very informative, and I really highly recommend it.
Cool. Well, Still Slang is still going strong with their coverage of Buffy and Angel. So please be sure to check out the Still Slang podcast and be on the lookout for an exciting new podcast that Mark has in the works. I'm very excited about that for him. And for TV recommendations, I think everybody should check out Beauty on Hulu. Please look past the fact that Ashton Kutcher is one of the main characters. It's a really interesting story, and I'm into it. I'm really into it. So check it out. And a big thank you to Mark and Pirate Core Entertainment for giving us this platform and all your hard work. Please visit the Pirate Core website. You can find it on our Facebook page, and there you can find our podcast as well as other podcasts like Dinner for Her with our very own Mandy, Panels to Pixels podcast, Adrenaline Cinema podcast, and other projects that Mark is working on.
Well, that wraps up our coverage of episode 5 of season 2 of The Pit. We will be back next week to cover episode 6, titled 12 p.m. Ooh, we're, third of the way in now?
Mm-hmm.
And be sure to keep an eye out for more great cast and crew interviews coming up soon, man. We got so many. We're so blessed, man.
So
and we just don't take
blessed.
it for granted. It's really so fun and interesting to get to talk to these guys, and we just really, really appreciate the time that they've given us.
Yeah. And we want to thank all of you for listening. We live in a world in which we need to share responsibility. It's easy to say, it's not my child, not my community, not my world, not my problem. Then there are those who see the need and respond. I consider those people my heroes. Y'all, please be the ones who see the need and respond. I'm Becky.
And I am still Mandy.
We'll catch you next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight. Bye.
Bye.